Hello, my sweet baby bats. Editing me here already, I know. When I filmed this video, I did not have my notes with me. I don't know why I decided to do them without the notes, but I am aware that it can be a little confusing to keep up with me. I've tried my best to add edits in places to correct what I'm saying. I do plan to have another video where I completely flesh everything out, so as the time goes on it'll make more sense, but I didn't want to waste this entire video just because my dumbass decided not to have the notes with me. So please bear with me. I'll try my best to correct anything, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Today I want to talk about the story with Julian, Salem, and Avison. I am currently off of work right now because I have food poisoning. So what better thing to do than sit and film instead of being here lonely with just me and my dog. So yes, that is where we're at right now. So I want to talk about the story with them, and I may move my hands around a lot. I might not. I don't know what kind of energy I have today. It is pretty low so far, but I want to specifically talk about the backstory. No, not the backstory, the world building part of it. So we're not going to talk about any one of them in particular. Avison we might talk the most about, but I really want to set up the world that is Tainted Blood. That's not the name of the world, but that's the name of the story per se. I really like that. I'm going to do a little bit of spoilers here. I'm not writing the story per se anyways, though maybe in the future I will. But Tainted Blood is kind of a play on of how Julian has tainted blood, but also the angels of death become angels of death because of tainted blood. And then Salem has a tainted, not in a literal sense, but in her own way, tainted bloodline because of her ancestors. So it's kind of like a fun play on for all of them, but I digress. In the world of Tainted Blood, there are different categories of creatures per se. In this world, there's not actually a higher power as the nuns kind of think there is, but there are holy beings that have abilities of healing and granting wishes, such as the angels, right? Then you have demonic beings, and this is coined by the nuns, or what we call this, or what they're actually called, the sisterhood. The sisterhoods call these creatures demonic creatures just because they believe that these creatures aren't what the higher power, the holy god herself, the holy goddess herself had intended for humanity. But when in real life, or when in reality, they're just creatures. They're just creatures trying to live their life, you know. And those creatures include werewolves, vampires, warlocks. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. We do have, or not warlocks, but spellcasters is what I have them under. Then you have the humans, right? And that's kind of the population of the world. Now, you have, spirits and ghosts. Okay. I want to talk about the differences in this world from spirits and ghosts, because as I was editing Salem's video, this wasn't a thing per se. Like, I hadn't sat down and separated them, but I realized that I should because it's going to be a little bit confusing. Ghosts are beings that are still connected to the physical world by their body. They haven't moved on to the spirit realm. They are stuck in the physical realm, and they cannot pass through, such as a spirit. The spirit can pass through spirit and physical world, but ghosts can't, because they're still connected to their body for some way, shape, or form. They need to, whatever they need to do to rest in peace and be able to move on, is what's keeping them. Now, they can end up doing that themselves. They can figure it out themselves. There are the angels of death, which can lend a hand at that. Or if a mortal, whether that's human or demonic creature, can help a ghost pass on and get their unfinished business done. And if so, that ghost can choose, okay? Keep in mind, this is a choice. The ghost can choose whether or not they're going to send their memories to that mortal that had helped them pass over. If they decide to share it, maybe it's because it was a family member or somebody very close to them that they care for, and they're like, here, have all my memories, as like a sweet offering in a way. Or they can choose not to, and then the memories just fade away in per se, right? That's different from a spirit, because a spirit can go through the both worlds, so they can stay in a spirit form where nobody can see them, or come into the physical form where they're seen as like a ghostly figure or what have you. As a spirit, you're not connected to any body. That's why you're able to move through. You don't have that humanity in you. And that's when you kind of have the knowledge of the universe. You kind of know everything. You know everybody's memories. You know everything going on. And that's what we were talking about with the sister that passes, how she's just unbiased. She doesn't pick a side. She does not have that humanity to be like, oh yes, the sisters are doing very well. Like, they mess up, but they're doing well. It's like, the sisters do that. That is them. That is, it is as it is, right? So hopefully that makes sense. That's what makes ghosts separate from spirits. So on that topic, the reason I did call it spirit, I did. That's before I made this differentiating part of it. But that's why the ghost of Julian's biological mom goes to him and like wants to help him, because she still has that humanity. She still has that connection and love for Julian, versus a spirit such as the sister. She wouldn't really go out of her way to help somebody, because that's not the spirit's place. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I was really proud about that, differentiating, making them differentiating. Anyways, I digress. Now I want to talk about angels versus angels of death. In this world, there are angels that will answer prayers per se, right? The humans have kind of made their own traditions of prayer and ritual, what have you, that ends up the angels who have these powers of healing and granting wishes to go down, if they choose, to answer those prayers and answer, help humanity as they see fit. The other thing to note too is it's not just humans. They will grant wishes and grant the power, not the power, but grants, not grants, that's not what I'm trying to say. They will use their power of healing on anyone. It doesn't have to be only humans. However, it tends to be the humans that kind of hold on, because they don't have the powers like a vampire or a werewolf does to heal themselves or what have you. So it's usually the humans that are doing the prayers and doing the wish granting and wish making and what have you. So it's not only for humans, but it tends to be mostly humans that are wishing upon angels and their healing powers and miracle making, what have you. So angels are their own beings. They don't have a higher being they answer to. They just, at their own free will decide whether or not they are going to help. There's so much goodness in them that they're more likely to help than they are to turn their back, if that makes sense. Now, angels of death is what I call a man-made creature. Without man's interruption, that's not the right word, but without their messing with things, angels of death would not be a thing. Another reason why they're called fallen angels, they're the angels that have fallen in the hands of man, who drink their blood and become vampires. Now, vampires have their entire lore that I've set up, and I will be sharing that a little bit in this, but I'll have a whole video of the lore because I think it's really fun. But what was I saying to that? I don't know where I was going with that, but regardless, the angels of death are the ones who have fallen in the hands of man, who are trying to take the blood of the angels. Now, the blood of these angels would bless these now vampires with the powers of immortality and healing and what have you, but curse them with the thirst of blood. And that is how vampires had come to be. So Avacyn is an angel of death because she was captured by some type of human, and her blood was drained and tainted with the during the turning ritual of the blood of the mortal. So that's now, as an angel of death, as a fallen angel, they no longer have their powers of wish granting and healing and what have you. There's still some powers, they do have some abilities, but they lose a lot of their holy power, which kind of exiles them in their own way from the angels, and they kind of have to become their own cult, their own, like, they have to become their own little civilization. That's the differences between angels and angels of death. Now, I don't want to put too much of the lore in the vampires in here, but TLDR, somebody realized that by drinking the blood of the fallen angel, they can have these immense powers of strength and regeneration and what have you. And suddenly there was this height in turning rituals, which made the number of angels dwindle a little too much. And it was they were very close to becoming in war with the angels versus vampires kind of situation. Now, like I said, I do have the lore of the vampires that I want to do more of, but I do want to kind of share this little this little information with you guys, because I think it would be fun. But the reason Julian recognizes the voice of the fallen angel is because the fallen angel is actually the same angel, which I purposefully did not add to the backstory, but it's the same angel that Julian ends up kind of growing up with. He is one of his friends that he would play with, didn't realize she was an angel, but then one day he just doesn't see that angel anymore, and now she's the angel of death because she is the same angel the mom uses in the turning ritual for Julian. That is how Avacyn becomes a fallen angel, and she kind of has it out for Julian. Not too much, because Julian was just a small child. He was 9 years old. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't even know he drank the blood of an angel. He just was doing what his mom was saying, right? So he's gonna recognize the voice as the one that, you know, he grew up with and was friends with when he was younger. And yeah, that's going to be a whole nother story in itself. But that's the angels versus angels of death, and a little bit about the vampires. Now, what I really wanted to talk about were the sisterhoods. I cannot remember. The Holy Sisterhood, I think, is what I ended up going by. I can't remember. I have everything on my computer, but it's out of reach. The Sisterhood is a group of nuns who believe it's their duty to cleanse the evil, which is these demonic creatures. They believe that if a creature was to die by their hands and their hands only, that the spirit can move through and cleanse and be reincarnated as human instead of keep getting reincarnated as a vampire, werewolf, spellcaster, whatever. So they believe, let's say there is a vampire versus spellcaster attack and the spellcaster kills the vampire. Well, because the spellcaster did it, blah blah blah, because the spellcaster did it, that spirit's going to be reincarnated into another demonic creature. However, if it was a sister versus that vampire, if the vampire dies, the vampire can now move on and be reincarnated as the purest form of creature, which is a human. That's how they see things. Now, is that true? Is that how things work? No. I'm just going to tell you up front. It's not. The sisterhood isn't doing this out of spite or out of like bitterness or hatefulness. Like the original sisterhoods weren't doing this because they just hated people, right? They just genuinely like full-heartedly believe that that's what they were meant to do. That was their calling. That was the greatest good that they can give. I guess what I'm trying to say, you know how there's the good guys, and I've talked about it before, the good guys that are kind of doing some bad stuff, but everyone thinks that no, they're doing it for good and there's pure reasoning behind it. And then one of the characters who's a part of that good group goes to the bad guys, and whatever happens, they start to learn that the bad guys aren't really bad guys. So then they confront the leader of the good guys, and the leader confesses, yes, we're doing this so that I can be powerful, and it doesn't matter, all these little things don't matter, it's just for me. Like that kind of stereotypical story. It's not like that. They genuinely, like I said, full-heartedly believe that that is what they're meant to do, and that is the purest thing that they can do, is kill these creatures so they can bestow that blessing and cleansing for them. So there's no like secret alternative motive. That's just honest to God what they believe that they're meant to do. So the sisterhood goes through to kill these monsters so that they can cleanse the spirit, and the spirit can now become human form and forever become a human form, unless they I'm making this up right now, unless they do maybe some really, really bad sinful stuff. Maybe that's how they become a creature. I don't know. I'm making that up on the spot. We'll see where that goes. But the sisterhood is made up of different ranks. You have the majority of the sisters at the bottom, which is just your main sisterhood fighters, nuns, doing what they need to do. They're the little minions, munchkins, right? Then you go higher up and you have the elites. The elites are pure blood, holy sisters from holy bloodline. If your bloodline is not holy, if you're poor, your family is the very lower class and has not been knighted as holy, whatever, the holy rituals, whatever, you cannot become an elite. No matter how good you are, you have to stay down there. Only the holiest of holy people can become an elite. Now that has happened only once, where somebody who was not of holy blood became an elite, and that's because she was the best of the best, better than even the elders, right? So they brought her into the elite, or she was brought into the elite ranking. However, something happens, and we can talk about that in another video of Julian's mom, who's the girl that I'm talking about. But basically, she is sent to go to the mansion and kill the Lord and Lady, which the sisters do not realize she knows them personally. They don't know that. But she doesn't know that they were vampires the entire time. She thinks that they were just kind human beings, just like everyone else. Like, you know, they couldn't be. Vampires are like the nicest people ever. But she's sent to kill them. She inevitably decides, I don't know words. She decides not to, and that causes the betrayal storyline that I was talking about before. This betrayal would now allow anyone who is not holy to never, ever, 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 ever become elite sisters ever. That's a secret that the elders are holding. Nobody knows that. But now that that one person had become an elite, there's this new hope in the lower class sisters, the regular sisters, right? There's this new hope that they can become an elite. They just have to work harder. But the elders know that that will never, ever, ever happen. Now, I bring that up because Salem is one of those sisters here that believes she can become an elite sister despite not having a holy bloodline. But anyways, those are the rankings. You have the majority of the sisters, you have the elites, and then you have the elders, which I don't think I talked about the elders. The elders are a group of a very small amount of women who have been there for centuries. Like, maybe not centuries, I shouldn't say that because humans don't live that long, but they're old. They are very old and very holy as well. To become a sister, you have to be an elite and you have to be chosen by this super fancy ritual thingy, and the holy goddess herself will pick you. And I mean, it's really not the case, but that's what they think it is. And you can become an elder. So it's very I can't think of the word. There's a structure to it. I kind of think of like the knighting of the prince and princess and everything like that, and the not the holy family, the royal family, like how that works. But instead of the royal family, it's kind of like the holy family or what have you, with the sisterhood. So that is what I have for you guys today. I want to make it a bit quick. We'll see. We're at 26 minutes now. So we'll see how long this video is. But I kind of wanted to give you the backbones of the world that they're in. There are so many different creatures. There are so many different, so many different factors of like ghost versus spirit, angel versus angel of death that go behind it. I don't have any of the like geographical stuff, honestly. I don't think I ever will think of the geographical stuff. I don't care for it. But that is like the backbones of it. I am so excited to share with you guys the story or the lore of the vampires. I think you will really enjoy that. I spent a lot of time after I did Salem's story. I spent a lot of time on this world building situation to kind of ground everything that we've already talked about. So yeah, I don't know what else to say to that. Leave anything down in the comments below. Remember to like this video so other people can see this beautiful face of mine. I don't have much else to say. So with that, I hope you blossom in all of your endeavors, and until next time, bye!